Hello, everybody. So, I just watched the new Netflix movie, Love Guaranteed. It came out on September 3rd. Um, and I watched it mainly because of the the guy I saw when I watched the trailer, Damon Wayans Jr. I hope I said his name right. I know him from Gilmore Girls. Like he is such a fascinating character in that movie that I was like, I'm hoping that he is that great in this movie too, and he is. He has the same quirky kind of humor in this movie that he has in that one, which he okay, it's really bad joke, but it made me laugh a lot, really hard. He was like, "Did you hear about the greedy clam? He was a little shellfish." And his date, like that was one of the dates that she was crap, like she was horrible, but the joke was good. Like, of course, you need somebody better than me to tell you the joke. Like, you need to be face to face, and somebody needs to tell you, like, did you hear about the greedy clam? And like, they need to be looking you in the eye. You need to be able to think about it. And I was like, he was a little shellfish. It's good. It's good. Like a selfish shell. Okay, I'm not gonna explain the joke, but it's good. It's a good joke. I'm just saying, it's a good joke. So he plays in the movie, and I realized I do know her. So he plays Nix. She, the other leading character, Rachel Leigh Cook, plays Susan. Susan, no, just kidding. Rachel, Rachel Leigh Cook. She played in She's All That. That's how I know her. I was like, I recognize her face from somewhere, but I don't know her. And that makes sense because She's All That was filmed in 1999. We're now in 2020. I mean, of course, she looks different, so it makes sense. But yeah, that's her. Which I think is really cool because those two are just. I'm such a big fan. And then there is. I recognize her. I just don't know from which movie I know her. Her name is Heather Graham. I mean, I'm so sure I know her from other films. Like I've seen her before in movies. I just can't pinpoint which one it is. Well, that's just gonna have to be it. That I guess that's just life. That is just life. That is how that goes. You just can't figure it out when you want to. So the movie is called Love Guaranteed, and basically the movie is named after the company in the movie, which is a dating website which guarantees love. If you've been on 1,000 dates, you'll find love through Love Guaranteed. That's what they say. That's what they predict. So the movie basically is about Nick, who tested their theory, who went on 1,000 dates and did not find love in those 1,000 dates. Okay. Just a couple things about that. Like, Nick, honey, why are you going on 1,000 dates? That is insane. Like, maybe it's the wrong website, you know? Maybe the website is just wrong for you. Because if you have to go on 1,000 dates, something is not right. If you're going on 1,000 dates and nothing is working, maybe the problem is not the website. If you meet 1,000 different women and you can't figure it out, maybe the problem is not the website. Maybe the problem is your approach. Maybe the problem is you being open. But that's also not it, because he starts to like Susan. And he met Susan because of the case of Love Guaranteed, but not through the app or through the website. Which makes me wonder, how many people do you think you will fit with, or you could fall in love with and be happy with long term? How many people do you think that is? Like, if you look at the world, if you look at the number of people you meet, if you look at all the different factors, how many people do you think you could fall for that you would have long-term relationships with? Like romantic relationships. How many people do you think there are for you? Is it like there are 10 people, There are 100 people. I mean, there are 7 billion people on the planet, right? So, okay, for example, you're, I'm just gonna take my example. You're a woman. You're into guys. So you have like 7 billion people, so you have it. 3.5 billion people, you have a type. Now, types are very unpredictable, right? Because you can say you have a type, but then you fall for somebody who's totally not your type by your ideas of what your type is, but he is your type by what you actually need. You know, the difference between like want and need, like you want this kind of person, but actually what you need is this kind of person, which I think I know what I need as well as what I want, but it does rule out a whole lot of people. So how many people do you think you could actually fall in love with and be in a relationship with, like a healthy romantic relationship long term? And this is the problem, right? Those are different questions. It's like, how many people could you have a healthy long term relationship with? How many people could you fall in love with? Those are different groups. Like, there are many long term relationships that you wouldn't always call healthy. And there are many people you can fall in love with that you wouldn't have a long-term relationship with, you know? That's what I think summer flings really show it. Like, you can be all in your emotions of love and everything, but at the same time, is it then love, or is it excitement and curiosity and adrenaline that feels like love but maybe isn't? All these questions that I haven't figured out yet. So if you do have some answers, that would be great. I would love to hear them. Yeah, because I haven't figured it out yet. I have not figured it out yet. But yeah, it made me wonder, you know, just how many people could you fall in love with? Because maybe he was just right. Maybe the 1,000 days was because these 1,000 women that he connected with, he saw their picture, he saw their profile, he was like, this sounds like the right person for me. However, you cannot put in your profile who you are as a character. You can only put in what you like or how you look, right? You cannot put in who you are. It's something that is the problem with online dating. You miss that thing. And then, of course, you have other people who don't look like the profile picture. You have other people who don't show up. You have other people, but, well, the people who don't show up are not in his list, right? Because he went on dates. So he actually met every single one of them. And he gave every single one of them a title, and he documented them. Like, he set out from date one, he set out to reach the 1,000 dates and show that it wasn't true. It's very interesting, you know, as an approach. It's a very interesting approach that you're like, well, maybe that approach is not particularly healthy, but it is an interesting experiment, right? I mean, I would say it was an interesting experiment. So, yeah. So, 1,000 dates. It's a lot, right? I thought about it. It was like, okay, if you for a year, every single day, so 365 days of the year, if you go on a breakfast, lunch, and dinner date, and then, I mean, you can be sick a couple days, but if you do it for a year, you can do that. Like, you can, in a year, you can do that. That is intense. I mean, breakfast, lunch, and dinner date, and then for a year, I would go nuts. I mean, like, when Susan tried the website and she was like, I had 2 dates and a no-show and I'm done. I was like, yes, that sounds very accurate. I had one date, like one actual date. Like, I had a lot of people that, you know, because you text before you meet them, and the texting often, or it sucks and you're just like, nope, not this person, because this person sucks. So how could I have a proper WhatsApp conversation with this person if this person sucks like this and I don't even know him yet? Or you meet them in real life and they don't look like a picture. Like, my one date that I got from a dating app, this person did not look like his picture. He was just not my type in real life. Where I was like, well, how is it that you are so different in your picture and in real life? Like, my pictures are literally me, and that's the me you see in the pictures, the me you get in real life. Like, there's no difference. Maybe the picture's 6 months old, maybe the picture's 2 days old. Like, it depends, of course, per picture. But then even then you have 6 pictures of my face. Like, even all these people who have one picture, and I'm like, well, if the picture's not clear, if I can't see your face, I'm not gonna say yes anymore, because I've had this one person that had a horrible picture that I thought he had red hair and I thought it was like a good looking beard, but then it turned out that it was gray hair. There was a hair sticking out of his nose. It was a horrible. This is why I quit dating apps and websites. Like, no. Just no. It's like a no. No, thank you. So, I don't know if you wanted to know that, but now you do. So, yeah, it's actually it's really impressive. It takes a lot of discipline to have 1,000 dates. I'm impressed. So then, basically, she hijacks one of his dates. Well, doesn't hijack it. She spies on him in very bad, like, it doesn't work out that well. And then they have dinner instead. Like, his date leaves because his date is shitty. Oh my goodness. You know these picky eaters? These people who can't eat anything because they have all these problems with, like, this allergy and that allergy. And I don't like this and I don't like that. And I'm like, were you raised right? Like, who raised you to be such a picky eater? It sucks. It sucks to go out to eat with picky eaters. I have friends who have certain things they don't like, and I respect that, and we don't go, but we don't eat that. But sometimes there are friends that I can't even go to certain restaurants with because they don't like anything that's on that menu. Anything. They can't go to an entire restaurant. And I'm like, how is that even possible? How is it not possible to go to this restaurant with you? Like, this restaurant has a whole menu. You can't eat any of it? It drives me nuts. No, I'm a very nice friend. I don't say that. I think that. I don't say that. So for every friend who now feels picked on, I'm very sorry. I hope you don't hear this. But this is the truth. Like, please don't be a too picky eater because it's very frustrating for the rest of us. Like, we just want to eat at this nice restaurant. We just want to eat at this random place. We just want to read at this eat at this awkward, or maybe read, I mean, a cup of tea and a book. How better can you spend your night than at a nice cafe sometimes? Anyway, but we want to eat at this cool, cringy place. We want to eat at this awkward, funny place. We want to eat at all these places. And if we can't go to half of the restaurants because you got all these allergies and weird things that you're dealing with, well then you're dragging us with you. We can't go to all these cool places because you can't eat this and you don't like that, and you can't eat this and you don't like that. And it's like, come on, please, just learn to eat it. Like, when I was growing up, my mom said, you eat it 5 times, you'll like it. That was it. That was like, we had one pot and one pan. That was our dinner. You had no choice. You could eat that or nothing. Well, you don't want to go to bed hungry, so you eat that. So that's how I learned to eat everything. And I still believe that that is the right way to do it. Like, hey, you got this option, that's called dinner. Or you got that option, that's called get hungry. Like, what are you going to do? Are you going to complain? Well, you can complain. Well, if you're going to complain, then you can just not eat this. You can just not eat this. And it's all your choice. You can eat anytime you want. But if you're not going to eat this, you're not going to eat anything else. There's no second option for you. This is dinner. This is your dinner. This is it. And when I was growing up, I hated it. I was like, ugh, now we have to eat this horrible macaroni again. Like, my mom, she's a great cook, except for the macaroni that she loves, which I hate because it's disgusting. Still think so. Sorry, Mom. But she would make it every single week. That would be like the one thing we ate every week. So at some point I was putting jam on it, and I was putting apple, like mushed apple over it. Dick sauce. I put so many different things over it just to make it taste good, or to not to make it taste good, actually, to just take away the taste of the pasta and just put like my stuff on it, so that I would just taste that. I would just have jam with pasta, and then I would taste the jam because it was so much sweeter than the pasta. So I would basically eat jam with a little bit of pasta. My parents were like so against it, but I was eating the dinner, they said. And I mean, my grandma had made the jam, so I could just get it from my grandma and then just eat it with the pasta. And as long as I ate what was in my plate and I didn't make anything else, well then they couldn't really complain. Anyway, I'm going off topic here. So, there's also this older guy that Susan helped in court for free, and that's Nick, who is a PT, helps for free, like he volunteers at the center to help him walk again. And this man has amazing, like, he has a wisdom, and he says to Susan, he's like, well, Nick's a good egg, like you. and 2 eggs make an omelet. And I'm like, what is that? Is that like old fashioned, like flirty talk that you can just turn into advice? Like, what is this? I love it. So after the kind of the dinner that Susan and Nick have, Susan asked Nick, she's like, so if tonight would be a date, like what kind of title would you give it? And he said, The One I Didn't See Coming, which is like an amazing, title. Like if you get any title, that's a pretty good one. And then there's her car situation with the door handle and the reason and the truth that nobody will steal their car because she literally takes the door handle. Like you can't open the door because she takes it, she puts it in her bag, and I'm like, honey, you need a bigger budget. And then he does the end of the date move for him, which is a handshake. And he's like, yes, this means goodbye, good luck, and have a nice life. Where I'm like, well, okay, that makes kind of sense. That makes sense. That I can see that making sense to people. It's interesting that so much can be said with a handshake, but at the same time, it's like a handshake can be hello, nice to meet you. Let's figure out how we can help each other. So the handshake can say a lot. Actually, not that we can handshake right now because Corona, but anyway. So the older man, I'm so sorry, I forgot his name. What is his name? Well, he said to Nick, let me see. Maybe I can find his name. Oliver? No, that's the little kid. Jerome! Oh, that's true. Jerome. So Jerome said to find, like, you've been on the shallow end, my friend. Like, you're not gonna find love at the shallow end. You gotta dive deeper to find love. You gotta risk it all. You gotta, it's like sink or swim. And it's like that saying, what is it, with the ships, like, ship is safe in harbor, but that was not what ships were made for. Like, you gotta be sailing out to sea, you gotta risk it all, and then that's how you find what you want. Like, that's how you find love, that's how you find true happiness. It's like, it's what Jordan Peterson talks about with responsibility. You don't have to take any responsibility in life, but if you do take responsibility, that gives you fulfillment, and fulfillment is better than just fleeting happiness. Fulfillment is like long term, the right feeling, and it's so important, and it's it's just all so interesting, right? How all these things are connected and how all these people kind of think the same way because the truths in it are universal. So you gotta dive in and learn to swim. You gotta jump into the water and learn to swim. And if you don't swim, you drown. So there's no other option. You gotta learn to swim. And that, I think, is this pressure that comes with not having a plan B as well. Like, here's this thing that you really want to do, and you're kind of doubting if you're able to do it. It's like, you will be able to do it if you don't have a plan B, because if you don't have a plan B, there's no other option than you able to do it. And it kind of comes back all these different ways. Like, people say it in all these different things, because at some point it will click, and it might be said in a certain way that it clicks for you and a certain way that it clicks for somebody else. But at some point it will click. And it's just so interesting how these truths, these universal truths, keep coming back through so many people, so many channels. And if you're anything, like if you're listening to any like people who travel and talk for big stages and call themselves, like, I don't know, self-help gurus or something like that, there's a lot of stuff that you're like, okay, you're just trying to sell me something. But then there are these things that they start to sound like cliches, right? But the cliches are right, because otherwise they wouldn't be cliches. And once you start doing them and you realize they were right, you become one of those people who says the cliches to other people, and you're like, oh, I can hear it now. I can hear myself say the stupid stuff. You're like, well, but it's not stupid. It actually makes sense and it works. So cliches are cliches for a reason, and these universal truths, they always shine through. So, basically, the whole movie leads up to the court session, where everybody is heard. They talk about the case, and then Nick comes like he swears in that he's only gonna speak the truth, and he's an honorable guy, so he does, and he talks, and he basically ruins the case for them, except that he makes it actually only better. And and he is like, you can't guarantee love like a pizza delivery. Love can surprise you, and it can burn you, and love is unpredictable, which is true. Um, and he is like, well, I'd rather have love than win this case. And it's an amazing thing when you find somebody who gets you, and you get them in return. And that is, I think that is like, when you think about love, that is how it feels, right? Like, and it's not just a romantic relationship, it's also a friendship. When your friends, when your really close friend gets you and you get them, like, you don't even have to finish sentences to talk to them, because they already know what the end is going to be, and they can like bounce off of that, and then your conversation is very much alive because you get each other, and it flies, when a conversation kind of just flies. It's like cycling downhill in the middle of the night, when it's like empty, but there are some street lights, and you're just kind of going downhill, and you turn one street and you go further down, you turn another, you go further down when you're going home, and you kind of just fly through the city. And it's like that feeling. The conversation just kind of flies. There's not a lot of effort. There's high speed, and it feels great. And that is, when it's right, you will know. And it's, you get them and they get you, and yeah, So you cannot guarantee love. And Nick in the movie, he says, I don't want to guarantee or a safety net. It is not a risk to fall in love. It is a risk not to. And that is really interesting, right? Because we always say that love is risky, like it's a risk to fall in love. But what he shows is that you can have your heart broken and still want love and still look for it and believe in it. And the risk of being without it is it's not a risk to fall in love, because if you're strong enough on your own, you will figure it out. You will survive it. Like you can survive heartbreak. You don't die of heartbreak. You what hurts about heartbreak is the pain that leaves, because this person leaves your life, and there's this hole that you now have to fill in your life where this person used to be. But if you're a person, and I know that sounds really weird, but if you're a person and this other person is a person, and you have a healthy long-term relationship, then if they leave, you're still a person and they're still a person, and you had it great together. But they don't make you less of a person when they leave. They take part of you with them because you grew together, but you became more of you together when you were together, but you did not become less of you when you were together. You were still you. And this is the problem that people have when they're like, I'm gonna die of heartache. It's like, no, honey, you were a person before you met this person. But now this person left you, and over the time that you were together, you grew into this person that they wanted you to be. You didn't grow into yourself, which means that you lost part of who you are. So now this person is gone out of your life for whatever reason. There is this hole in your life or in your heart that you need to fill with you, because you were a full person before you met them. You were a full person when you dated them, but over time you became part of them and they became part of you, and you lost a part of yourself. And that's not bad if that made you happy, if that relationship made you really happy. But sometimes it is too much. Sometimes you lose yourself too much in a relationship, and then you need to find yourself again. And that is important too. So it's not a risk to fall in love. It's the risk not to, because love is so beautiful and so amazing. And it's, if you don't have it, if you don't go for it, if you don't try for it, it's not that it's bad, but there's so much that you can gain in your life from love, that if you don't go for it, go after it, seek it out, then you miss out. And it's not to speak that you have to have FOMO or whatever, because sometimes you don't want to fall in love. You just want to grow on your own, and that's not a bad thing. But you can grow together as well. There is this amazing song from Ben Platt, "Grow as We Go." I think that's the title, or grow older, grow together. I don't know. I think it's "Grow as We Go." But he's like, well, you don't ever have to leave. You can stay right next to me, and we can grow as we go. Like, you don't have to go on your own to grow. We can do it together. You know, we can grow as independent people and together at the same time. And there are all these thoughts that come up with when these things like are said for me, because it's so interesting to think about it, and the different stories that you hear from different people. And you know, sometimes it's better for people to be on their own, but also very often, or not very often, but sometimes you see a relationship break because one person is like, no, I want to grow by myself, and then the other person is, but I wanted to grow together with you. Like, why don't you want that? And then the person that breaks it is like, I'm going to grow on my own, and they regret it after 6 months. But the other person gets over the person in 4 months, starts dating somebody new, and then in 2 years when they meet each other again, the one person that broke it off is like, I want to get back together, I miss you so much. And the other person is, well, like, I'm engaged to this new person who did want to grow together. And that is the other side of it. And it doesn't mean that you should be in a relationship because of fear, but it does mean, like, hey, you can grow in relationships together. Like, you don't have to be on your own and single to grow. And at the same time, of course, not every relationship allows you to grow. So sometimes you do have to get out for your own health and benefit. But it's interesting, right? It's not it's not simple. It's never simple. There are always so many options, so many situations, so many ways. It fascinates me, and it baffles me, and sometimes it confuses the heck out of me. But I think that that's okay. So yeah, that's love guaranteed, my friends.